program are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and are not those of WKYU-TV, its management, or WKU.
All right, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of TopperTalk. It's an hour long. Does that mean we're really good at this stuff? I don't know. But March Madness is upon us, and we have a special hour episode. And we have the usual suspects here. I'm Sean Williams, by the way, with Adam Haley and Woody White. And we got a special guest in the house. We got Khalil McDonald, former basketballer for WKU. He's in the house.
A.K.A. K-Buckets.
Yeah, there you go.
And he'll be here for the special hour episode of TopperTalk here. So lots of March Madness stuff to talk about. Of course, we weren't on air last week because we had some business to take care of. The Hilltoppers had some business to take care of.
Sunbelt Championship game was last Monday night. So
Sunbelt champions again.
Closed it out. Once again, it was a very fun trip, 5 years in a row. And, Ray Harper does it again. He's 8-0 now in the tournament. And it's just Hot Springs has been good to the tops the last 5 years. We've taken 3 out of 5 down there. So,
and you think about that, I mean, a lot of our fans got down on the team there for a little bit this season, the past couple of years. But, you look at winning 3 championships out of 5 years. I mean, any program will take that. So
4 out of 6.
Yeah. So, Khalil, special guest here. I mean, it's part of the championship run last year. I mean, tell us a little bit about your experience down there in Hot Springs last year and the run y'all made. 4 games in 4 days.
I mean, first of all, coming from where we came from, like all the things that happened, 6 people on court, coach getting fired, and then to win that, it was just to top it off as my senior year that was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, tell us about that, because you had like probably the ultimate low last year. You had the six players on the court, and then coach fired, and Ray Harper takes over. I mean, tell us what it was like in the locker room going through all that.
Well, I think when coach got fired, we came in like with a certain type of fire. Like we started practicing extra hard and. It just we got right at it every day. I mean, it didn't show up right away on the win-loss column, but eventually, it's paid off. And then we went on a streak. Then we hit the game winner against Arkansas State. And then we went on and beat Middle senior night. And from there, we just had the confidence to go in. We went in. I know we came every game we were down there. I think we had to come from behind, right?
Yeah. It was the cardiac Hilltoppers. So I mean, you guys had like double-digit deficits in like second half almost every game, and y'all find ways to come back and win it. So I mean, that was a pretty amazing run. I mean, and especially the game up to the NCAA game up there in Dayton against Mississippi Valley State. I mean, you guys had that big deficit and just stormed back there in the last 6 minutes of the game. I mean, what was that like?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering. I want to know, there was like 4 minutes left or 4 or 5 minutes, and y'all were down by like 15 points at least. And then, I mean, what did y'all talk about before y'all came back and made, y'all got some good defensive plays there at the end and were hitting some big shots? Kind of, what was the mindset? I mean, obviously y'all knew that you weren't out of the game, so kind of what were y'all saying to each other?
I mean, we've been here before. Like, this is not new to us. We've been down 16, 15, before, coming in. So it's like we had practice. So, when we got to that point, it was like, we can't quit now. We got nothing to lose. If we lose, we go home. And we got everything to gain. So we play like, there was no tomorrow. And, you won.
As far as the coaches that you've had in your basketball career, high school, college, where does Ray Harper, as far as basketball knowledge, being able to coach, we've seen him come back last year in the tournament from deficits. We saw him coach the Hilltoppers this year to another championship. How good of a coach is Ray Harper?
Man, he's great coach, even better person. Man, I'm blessed to even have him as my last couple months or whatever. I had him. I wish I had him for my 2 years. I probably would have had 2 rings on my finger instead of 1. But thank God he was even there for the time he was. And then I had him for that time. So man, he's great. The best coach I've had. And then but right before I put him number 1, and then my JUCO coaches too. Right. I gotta give him a shout out too. So
good.
Speaking of Coach Harper, we actually have a question on our Twitter account here. Daniel Williams asked if you played 4 years at WKU under Ray Harper, how many NCAA games would you have won? Hypothetical question.
If I was a freshman year, man. My freshman year. So now, probably...
Of course, since you were only here 2 years, then, you know, kind of...
Yeah, you could break it down to 2 years.
Yeah.
I could break it down to 2. Well, I think if I was playing this year right now, and including last year, we won 1-1, so I'm going to say... How many take to win the championship this year? 5?
Well, it depends on if you're in the playing game or not.
Yeah.
Well, in our position, it's 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, 6-1.
There you go. There you go.
6-1.
All right.
All right, so we got good stories. Of course, you'll be here the whole hour, so, you know, feel free to chime in whenever you want to. We'll talk about the Sun Belt tournament. Of course, you two guys were down there.
Yeah,
So let's talk about the run. Another year of 4 games in 4 days. Not a big problem, no big deal. Just another Hilltopper postseason run. So, you know, tell us how it went down there.
You know, I said on the last show we had before we went down there, you know, I thought that we had the kind of team that could get there to the championship and probably face against MTSU again. I didn't know if, you know, we'd have what it takes to beat MTSU, but obviously, you know, FIU took them out, and, you know, we took care of FIU. So, you know, I went down there. You know, last year was such a miracle run. You know, as good as we were playing leading up to the tournament, I don't know if anybody really saw a championship coming. This year, you know, I went down there, you know, as a fan, having a little more confidence, you know, having seen what Ray Harper has done, you know, and you know, getting out on the court and, you know, and taking pictures and stuff with the team afterwards, you know, it was obviously still excited as a fan, but, you know, we talked about that a lot, how it was still different than the year before. You know, I think, you know, the more Coach Harper's around, you know, the more confidence I think I have in the team and, you know, and him coaching the guys. You know, that's, you know, it's hard to expect a championship as a 6th seed going into the tournament, but, you know, I had a lot of confidence in Ray and the guys down there, and, you know, they went down there and took care of business.
Yeah, I knew, because we've all talked about this several weeks leading into this, that the Hilltoppers were going to be healthy going into the tournament. And you knew when this team got healthy, we talked about Brandon Harris is going to free him up to get better looks. He's not going to have to try to work his shot off the dribble. He's going to be able to set up, and you saw that in the tournament. You saw how well he shot. And out of the 6th seed, we were glad that we were there, even though that was the extra game. But we took care of Monroe in the first round, and I think most fans had the feeling that the Tops were going to make a run to the finals, just depending on if we were going to get Middle Tennessee or who was going to come out of that top bracket that we were going to play. I think the team that we took down there and we had, they would have played Middle Tennessee good. I think they could have beat Middle Tennessee this year. You saw what we did to them in Diddle, and I mean, that was a couple baskets away from being a totally different game.
I mean,
here.
tied at 63 with about a minute and a half left,
Right.
and, you know, Middle Tennessee just happened to close the game out really well.
Yeah, I heard some stories coming out of the selection show yesterday that I guess Ray was telling some people that, like, MTSU's players, like, trashed the locker room here, like, after they beat us. Like, I know that everybody saw them celebrate on the court, but I don't know if that's true or not. That's what I heard.
Is that a Twitter rumor, Rudy?
I read it on Haven. You know,
Okay.
that rumor out there. That's worse than Twitter.
Disrespectful, man.
Yeah, but, I mean, you know, everybody saw them celebrate on the court.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah, they were.
with that, if you were playing, you saw, you know, MTSU, who's our biggest rival, you know, come out and dance on the court. Yeah.
Just like I showed them last year, they wasn't going to be that. So if I was playing, they not winning. Straight like that.
Yeah, you could tell, you know, whenever they did win at the last home game, you know, it was, you know, there at midcourt. You could tell Fant and them were a little, you know, doing some stare downs over there to Middle Tennessee guys. So, I mean, say, hey, look, karma comes back, man. Karma comes back and bites them at the Sun Belt tournament, and they lose. And I mean, they're in the NCAA tournament in the play-in game, you know. And honestly, when it comes to Middle Tennessee, you know, they had a good enough record throughout the year, and, you know, they pretty much dominated the Sun Belt Conference in the regular season. I mean, I think they definitely deserve a bid for the NCAA tournament. But
yeah, that's kind of how it is. They lost one conference game all year. Ended up losing to FIU in the tournament. So as much as Western fans don't like Middle Tennessee at times, if it was Western Kentucky that had lost 5 games on the season and then got beat in the tournament, then we'd be like, no, we got to get in. Western deserves a bid. So you can't really say Middle didn't deserve a bid.
Oh, no, I think they deserve it, but I just feel like when they get to tournament play or any type of tournament, they just choke.
Yeah, well, we've been talking about that leading up to it. They get the Kermititis is the term.
Watching that game against FIU, FIU's little point guard who has a walk-on. He hadn't played but in like 15 games before that, and he was just like carving MTSU's defense up, and like you could just see Kermit on the sideline, like, what is going on? What do I do right now? Just like he got nervous, man. Like I could tell from where we were sitting.
Well, they held Middle Tennessee to 57 points, and that. Some of the fewest points that they've been held to all season, a team that had been beating teams by 30 points in the Sun Belt schedule. So I don't know. We've seen Middle Tennessee go down there and lose in the tournament time and time again. I don't know if you attribute that to Kermit Davis and his coaching in the tournament, or if it's I don't know what it is, but Khalil, kind of, what do you think it's coach for Middle Tennessee? Why can they not win in the Sun Belt tournament? Even the team, this is one of the better Sun Belt teams I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Probably going back to Courtney Lee and Ty Rogers, the team that went to the Sweet 16. This was a solid team, and I don't know why they couldn't get it done this year.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a coach, but I mean, is he like a kind of arrogant type of guy?
I don't know how to answer that really.
I'd say probably not arrogance the word. He just has problems in the clutch, right?
They never really haven't accomplished much though. They and listening to him talk on the radio shows and stuff this week, he did a lot of whining, trying to make his case to get into the tournament or whatever. I guess it ended up working out for him.
Everybody's got their own schemes whenever it comes to trying to get in the NCAA tournament.
I think at the end of the day, you could be the greatest coach you want. You can't go out there and make shots for the guys. So
yeah,
that's right. Comes down to shooting. Middle Tennessee definitely, I mean, they were having an off night against FIU.
Yeah, exactly.
But they still got into the tournament, which was good for them. I'm glad that they got in. I know Chad Withrow's glad that they got in. And we heard a lot about that on the way back up.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard about that, Khalil, but yeah. I mean, I don't know, in speaking of that, I don't want to spend the whole show talking about people, but it is funny that you bring that up. That,
We've got an hour tonight.
Yeah, we got an hour, so we got time to kill. So, but yeah, Chad Withrow down at the Midday 180 show down there in Nashville. Of course, I think he said he sent out a congratulatory tweet to Western, but it was kind of mixed with some sarcasm.
Very backhanded congratulations.
It was mixed with a lot of sarcasm and saying that Western was a crappy team that won the Sun Belt Conference tournament. So,
I mean, it's a guy that lives in Nashville and he thinks Western's a bad team, but he hasn't watched them play a single game. If he had seen them or if he knew anything about Western Kentucky, he would know that they were injured most of the year. Yeah. So you can't really call them a bad team. Maybe you can say that their record was bad, but you can't call a team that is completely healthy and just won the Sun Belt.
Still won 20 games.
That's right. I mean, so.
Well, and I mean, I don't really know what he was expecting because, they wanted Coach Harper on their show, and then, of course, you send out a tweet like that. I'm not really sure what you're expecting whenever you send out a backhanded tweet like that.
Well, I wouldn't go on their show either.
Obviously, the coach.
Of course, Ray, I don't think Ray's the kind of guy that even cares if he's on the radio show or not. So it wasn't a big deal to him.
Although he was doing a killer job today making the radio round. So
heard he was on Jim Rome today.
He's on Jim Rome's show, yeah.
He tweeted that, yeah. Jim Rome tweeted that.
Yeah, I didn't listen to it.
Had some good stories about Rex Chapman back in the day whenever he was playing at KWC, and Rex was running around on his bicycle with a basketball looking for pickup games. So so yeah, they were doing a good. Ray had a good PR day, and of course he didn't go on the Midday 180 though, so that's always good.
He probably never will.
Probably not while the hosts are on there. So. But we're getting off track a little bit. But like I said, it's a special hour show, so we can go off track and talk a little bit, and smack talk some radio guys down in Nashville all we want to. But kind of going back to the Sun Belt tournament, of course, you talk about Western getting the 6th seed, and of course having to play 4 games in 4 days. But they get a good draw, and it's like we were talking about before we went down there. I mean, the 6th seed was probably the best seed for them because they start off with Monroe, and I mean that's a relatively easy win for them, and it kind of sets up the more motivation for them, and they just kind of keep going as far as the hot streak and everything like that.
Monroe was a perfect start for us. Like I said, going down there, it gives you an opportunity to start hitting some shots and, seeing the ball go in. And we saw Caden go 3 of 3 from 3 that night. And I think that, getting his confidence back to where it needs to be, that was huge for the tournament. I think he ended up, he was 5 of 8 from 3 for the tournament. I mean, it's not a ton of shots, but, those, they all came in pretty clutch situations.
Yeah, he scored 9 points against Monroe, so, he came 3 threes. And, I mean, the Hilltoppers shot 58% from the field that game, too, and 50% from three-point line. So, I mean, they were on fire.
That was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, it was. What, Khalil? What's the? Is there a big difference between playing 4 games in 4 days and 3 games in 3 days? Of course, what's the fatigue factor like when you're getting to that championship game? I know you're probably not thinking about your legs being tired when you're getting there, but, I mean, how much does fatigue weigh in on you whenever you're in that championship game, or even on the third day? You know, you've played 2 games, especially last year, having to come back, making those runs at the end of the games. Kind of, does fatigue, is it a big factor down there?
I mean, honestly, some people might be, but for me, it wasn't. It was a rush, man. Every game was like a rush. Like, I don't know. I felt like we was on drugs out there the way we was playing, because every game we've been down, coming back like that, it was tough, but I mean, we did it. I mean, you can't have no excuses like that. You tired, you're going to lose. So you got to be in more shape than the other team, and I think obviously that's what we was.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like, you see Ray Harper say, you know, I don't care if it's 3 games in 3 days or 4 games in 4 days, you know, the whole object is go down there and survive in advance. So, I mean, obviously Coach Harper does a very good job of that in the postseason, so.
I saw some stat on him or in elimination games over his career, whether it be at Kentucky Wesleyan or Oklahoma City or whatever it is, he's something like 74-10 in those games.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
I mean, you got to think, you know, whenever you was at KWC, I mean, you went to the national championship game 6 years in a row. So, I mean, you won 2 titles out of that 6 years. So
There's no question that Ray Harper's a great coach, and he can coach tournaments just as good as probably any coach out there. But what could he have done with this team if it would have been healthy? You know, I mean, you're talking about a team that could have won 25 games this season.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, looking ahead to next year, I don't want to look ahead yet because I mean we still got tournament Kansas on Friday. But you know, with a healthy team, I think you're going to see a lot of good things come out of Western Kentucky. Ray's going to he's bringing in several good guards next year. A pretty good big man prospect for next season. And then you got it's a young team too. You're losing Jamal Crook and Marcus Vasquez. He'll be gone too. Of course, you know he came in. He's not contributing much in the games, but of course he's good for practice. And but you know you're losing pretty much one guy that's contributing this year. And you got T.J. Price, George Fant coming back, and then Brandon Harris, who is turning into a really good shooter.
I mean, yeah, all-conference tournament team. I mean, I don't know if anybody saw that coming when we picked him up. You know, everybody was talking about how he's coming from an NAIA school or whatever, but, you know, he came in, and I think he's shooting, like, close to 60% on threes the last, like, 9 or 10 games or so. I mean, that's getting it done.
Yeah. But, yeah, definitely, you know, a lot of good key contributors going to be coming back. I mean, of course, we're gonna miss, you know, not to jump ahead, but, you know, Jamal Crook will be gone. I mean, that'd be a big factor. I mean, like I said, he was the most important factor, I think, this season as far as injuries go.
Yeah, the Tops definitely played a lot better with Jamal on the floor than without him. I'm not. What is that stat?
I think we're 17-6 with Jamal in the lineup, and then I guess it'd be 3-9 without him. Yeah.
My man.
Definitely see the difference.
My man.
So you know, we're sitting here talking about Crook. I mean, I'm sure you're pretty close with Jamal. So tell us about him as a player, as an individual.
It's like my little brother, man. I mean, like you said, when him on the team, he runs smoothly, you know, like him on that floor is like, even if he's not scoring, something else is opening up. You know, TJ's playing on another level right now. And no, I'm not discrediting TJ, nothing like that, but without Jamal on that floor, I mean, TJ would have to probably like shoot like 30 shots.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we saw that whenever Crook was out, you know. I mean, you know what I mean? So Crook does a great job when he's not scoring. He's penetrating the defense, and he's finding open men.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I mean, his mid-range jumper is just tremendously improved in this whole time here at Western. So, I mean, you know, that's another option for Crook. I mean, it makes him a dangerous player is, you know, he can kind of cut through the defense and find open guys down low or on the wing, and then he can pull it for a jumper too. So, I mean, that's very essential to have. And it's like I said, he was definitely the key piece, and it was a big blow for us whenever he went down with the foot injury. But you know, it just goes to show you how important of a player he was. You know, if you look at the record whenever he's in the lineup and whenever he's not. So.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be missed. And Jamal's, you got to love him because of where he started here at Western and the criticism that he got and fighting through it and how he just improved his game. You can just see such a big difference. Even I still think the turning point for Jamal was last year during the Sun Belt tournament. He just kind of came out and showed out, and he handles the ball so well. He sees the floor, and I think he's averaging like 4 assists per game this year. It may be more than that. But it's just a guy that he's good on the floor. He's going to be hard to replace on the floor, but I think he's a leader too in the locker room, and it's a guy you're going to miss. You see guys come through here, and that's the good thing about Western Kentucky. Whether they come in as a freshman or they're a JUCO transfer or something like that, you really get to know the guys. Fans get to know them. You kind of grow up with these people, and for me, I'm the same age as some of these guys, so it's like, man, we just came up together, and now these guys are graduating. So it kind of sucks to see them leave, but I mean, a guy like that you're going to miss. And but Ray's got a game plan to get the guard play going again next year. So
sure.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
Great
next year.
recruiter right there.
Yeah.
Have you gotten to play pickup much with the new guys or anything? Have you gotten to see, Chris Harrison Docks is, a lot of people are talking about him as sort of the.
I mean, he actually came in the gym when me and Pettigrew was working out, I think about a month or two ago, and after we work out, we play like a one-on-one,
right?
And he wanted to join in, so yeah, he's competitive. I mean, he ain't win, but he's definitely competitive. I like his heart, and his mindset. He's trying to go at anybody. That's how you got to be.
Okay,
for sure.
How big of a factor do you think he'll be next year for the Hilltoppers?
With his handle and and his confidence and the attitude he has, if more people like that, then he's definitely gonna be. I think that he should, if he keeps that mindset, that he should be a big help.
Right. I'd agree with that, too. I think just from what I've heard about him, I think he's going to come in. He's going to be a pretty good guard next year.
I watched a lot of his videos from stuff in high school, and he got recruited
kid,
by
man.
Butler.
Feisty dude.
Yeah, I think a lot of people say he's a lot like Ray was when Ray was a player, and I think if Ray's got to be looking forward to coaching him, I would think, if it's a lot like himself. So I think it'll be good for us,
Yeah.
We're getting too far ahead of ourselves, but it's all good.
It's all right. Hey, we got an hour show. We can talk about whatever we want to.
We got Kansas now coming up on Friday night at 8:50. And it's, going up against the 1 seed. We've got a guy familiar with going up against the 1 seed after y'all advanced to play Kentucky last year. What goes on, you're looking ahead, you're game planning for Kentucky last year, and you watched them play all year being from a school that's in the state of Kentucky, and you've heard all about them. You're on a campus where more people wear Kentucky shirts than Western shirts,
I like the disgust in his eyes when you said that. True Hilltopper right there.
I just thought I'd throw that out there. But, what you're game planning for Kentucky last year, or you're game planning for a number 1 seed, what's your mindset going into it? You got to believe that you can compete with these guys, right?
I mean, we all put on shoes, socks and shoes, like the same way what they men, we men, like just go play. Like that's how I felt about it last year, but we just let them get on that run, man. Transition killed us. And they like a 6 draft picks. I mean, and when they transition, it's like 90%. They got like an NBA break. So when they was getting transition, there was like no missing for them.
Right. Of course, you could tell from the play last year, y'all never gave up. I mean, it came down to a 15-point game, which was, I think it may have been the closest game that Kentucky played last year in the tournament, or one of the closest, maybe up to the championship game. But, what's it like in the huddle and timeouts and, second half, you're playing Kentucky. What's Ray saying? What are you guys saying to keep focus and keep hustling and trying to get the lead cut back down?
Man, like, don't quit, don't give up. Just, first of all, you can't go in scared from the jump. Like, you can't be scared. I mean, and this year, I think you have even better chance than we had last year because there's no clear-cut dominant team in the tournament right now. Like, we don't know who. I can't predict who's going to win. I want Western to win, obviously, because that's who I play for. But there's no clear-cut team. So, and like you said before the show started, you was talking about a 16 being the 1. I mean, I think it could happen.
We've seen it come close several. I mean, the last
Western
5 or
should
6
do it,
years.
man. Western should
Yeah,
be the first.
this might be the year. This might be the year.
Hung right in with a couple 1 seeds right down to the last couple of minutes. And, I mean, we've been saying all year, I think, along with a lot of other college basketball fans, that this could be the year that a 16 upsets a 1. I don't want to say that just because I'm a Western fan. Like, yeah, Western, you're 16, so, yeah, we could upset a 1, which I think we can.
I'll say it for you, man. They need to do it.
So, I mean, it's possible. It might not be Western. It might be somebody else. But there's going to be upsets in this tournament.
I think so.
And Western's not your typical 16 seed coming in my opinion, just because of how their record was. Their record's why they got the 16 seed.
You look at it, like we talked about, if Jamal's healthy all year, we probably win. I tried to work it out on the schedule. You know, I think we probably win 6 or 7 more games if he plays the whole season. And if we're sitting at 27-8 going into the tournament, you know, we're looking at that 12 seed or so that we've been in the past where we did so well. So, you know, I saw somebody say, you know, it's more of like a 1 seed versus a 12 seed. It's more like what we really are. So, you know, I think, I mean, you know, Kansas better be preparing for us. They better be looking ahead to, you know, a Carolina or Villanova because, I mean, you know, we could definitely, you know, come in there and play with them. You know, I think, you know, they don't really have – they got Elijah Johnson at point guard, but, you know, I don't know if he you know, I heard Jamal say yesterday he played against him in AAU and everything, so he owes him one. I saw that quote from him.
He said that to me today.
So, you know, I'm thinking Jamal's going to have a pretty big game, you know, especially being a senior. You know, you want to go out, you know, playing your best ball. So I'm excited about the matchup, you know.
Yeah, like you said, it's kind of like a 12 seed coming in. I don't want to give Western too much credit, but I think a healthy Western team is a really solid team this year.
MTSU got seeded in 11 seed,
That's
and
right.
we just played them pretty much straight up even.
Oh, they got 11? I thought they had 12.
They got the 11 for the play-in, and that's tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, yeah.
St. Mary's, which is going to be a good game because so I think Middle's more athletic than St. Mary's is, but St. Mary's got a little bit of size on them, I think, in the paint. So it's going to be a good game.
If MTSU couldn't guard FIU's point guard, I don't know what they're going to do with Matthew Dellavedova up there for St. Mary's.
It seems like he's been there for 8 years, and he's tough.
Seasoned veteran.
But that's going to be a good game. But back to what we were talking about, you know, Western was a 12 seed. I guess it was 2008 whenever they made their Sweet 16 run, and they played UCLA in the Sweet 16. I think what was it, a 4-point game maybe?
AJ had to look at a 3 that would have made it a 1-point game. I think if he hits that, I think we went ahead and won. But
so I mean, it's possible. Just because we're a 16 seed doesn't really mean that we're one of the bottom 6 teams in the tournament this year. I think it's possible that we play with Kansas. You know, Kansas lost 5 games. They did lose like a stretch of 3 in a row, I think, and one of them was TCU.
Lost to TCU. We're definitely better than them.
Right. So I mean, if you can catch Kansas on a bad night, and we've got enough shooters, I think that we can hang with Kansas. The spread is 20. I don't think Western has a problem covering that spread. I think we're fine with that, and I believe Western can win it. It's going to come down to big shots, and we're going to have to play some defense and hope that Kansas isn't having a great offensive night. But I mean, I think the cards are right for Western to pull an upset this year.
You know, you talk about, 16 seeds never beating a 1 seed. It's come close many times. I mean, 16 seeds gave 1 seeds fits, take them in overtime. It's happened on a lot of occasions, and you know, all it takes is for some team to come out there and just go ice cold from the field, and the lower seeded team and underdog take advantage of it with hot shooting and precision plays. So, and I mean, you talk about the guard play for Kansas. I mean, I think another mismatch for us at least will be down low against Jeff Withy, who's a 7-foot shot blocker. He's got like 130 blocks on the season, averages about 14 points a game, about 9 boards. So I mean, he's going to be a tough matchup. I mean, our tallest guy on the roster is Alex Rostov. He's about 6'11".
It'll be interesting for me to see whether they match him up with Alex or George.
I think as far as body wise goes, George would be a better matchup.
If they put him on George, you know, that's where I'd like to see George, you know, take him out on the floor a little bit. We've seen George; he can put the ball on the floor and you know, try to get by some people. So that'd be an exciting matchup. We saw, I guess, Rex Chapman wrote an article about, you know, teams that have really solid 3 options, and he talked about George and how George can, you know, step out and hit the jumper and can get by somebody on the floor. So, you know, if Kansas does put Withy on George, that may be something we can take advantage of there.
Yeah, and I think about that, you know, he's got 2 big guys going at it. You know, you just hope that George doesn't get in foul trouble trying to guard him. You know, I mean, 'cause you do have at least a height advantage for Withy, but you know, George has some size on him. You know, so I mean, he could definitely body him up.
I wouldn't want to be the one to tell George it's a bad matchup. You know, I think he's going to come out motivated and, you know, try to prove himself.
Oh yeah, definitely, and you know they should. I mean, you know, Western's, you know, they're 16 seed, they're the underdog, 20 points is the spread. So I mean, they got all the chips on their shoulder to come out there and play as hard as they need to play.
There's no pressure on us. We can just show up and play. And, you know, whatever happens, happens.
So
you can't be scared at all.
But, you know, a lot of people were talking about, I mean, I don't really know. It's like you were saying earlier, Khalil. I mean, there's not really a clear-cut favorite to win the title or anything like that. So, I mean, a lot of people were talking about how the better matchup for us would be Gonzaga. But, I mean, honestly, in my opinion, I don't really think it really matters as far as the 1 seeds go. I mean, you just, like I said, it's one of those things where it's never happened before, and really it's just going to take a team effort, and you know, to play your best game and to not turn the ball over a lot, and you know, ice cold shooting by the favorite always helps too. So, You know, I mean, you know, we've seen a lot of 16 teams play the one seeds down to the wire. So I mean, you know, a lot of people here have faith, and you know, a lot of people look at our record at 20-15 and say, oh, they're 20-15. You know, they struggled all year, but they don't really recognize the injuries that we had, and the injuries to a lot of key players we had too, like Jamal Crooks. So, I mean, we're kind of playing our best ball right now. So I mean, we try to strike while the iron's hot. So, and right now we're pretty hot right now.
And
so
plus, you got Ray Harper on the sideline coaching.
Yeah,
you,
Ray
so
Harper.
I don't think I would ever count anything out with him over there.
It's like, you know, I kept saying while we were down in Hot Springs, you know, you can't bet against Ray just because, I mean, all he does is win championships.
Well, I like how
not that anybody should be betting or anything.
No, we don't condone gambling.
we don't condone betting. Just, but you know, you talk about Ray Harper, and it's funny because you know the Sunbelt title game on ESPN, you know, had Richard Pitino. You know, of course ESPN made it out to be a Pitino fest. You know, Rick's in the crowd watching his son play ball, and you know, coached FIU, and you know they're kind of a Cinderella team. You know, kind of come from the depths of last year, and he's kind of turned them around. But you know, they didn't really focus a whole lot on the big game coach Ray Harper on the western sideline. So
it may just be because I'm a fan, but it always seems like, you know, whenever we're in that situation, the focus always goes to the other team. I don't know if it's just I don't know. Maybe it's just kind of my mentality as a fan. But
it's just coincident we happen to be in the limelight, and then I'll be dang if Pitino was coaching the team.
We did our little podcast before the game, and I told everybody who's listening, I said, you know, y'all may as well go ahead and get ready because they're going to have, before the game even starts, they'll have Rick Pitino on the camera. They'll show him, and sure enough.
They showed him walking into the arena on the Sports Center before the game started. Yeah. So
I don't know that. Just over the years, I've been watching Western teams play for 20 years now, and it seems like, you know, when we play our best is when we're playing with something to prove. I mean, is that a factor as a player, you know, if you've got kind of that chip on your shoulder going out there trying to prove people wrong? I mean, does that make you play harder?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It's always good having, you know, naysayers, haters, you know. It's good. I like it. And then once things going sour for the hater, you know, then it's good for me because obviously I'm winning.
Right.
So I got a random question here. I mean, we talk about Ray Harper. What's the maddest you've ever seen Ray Harper in practice or on the sideline during a game?
I'm not gonna lie, I got kicked out of practice.
Okay.
One time.
You mind elaborating on that?
This is right before the Magic started.
Okay.
It was like before we went on that stretch. Actually, Crook got kicked out the day before.
Okay.
And the day after, you know, I got kicked out because I forgot what happened. I think one of the coaches said something to me, and I made, like, my body language wasn't, you know, quite right that day, you know. I mean, going hard, I mean, but I think one of the coaches said something to me, and I had bad body language, and then he just started going at me, like, the language was, you know, obviously, it was definitely, you know.
Definitely not church worthy.
It's cursing me out, basically. And, you know, just, coach, you know, you're supposed to do that, though, you know, when somebody's acting like that. But, and then I think I said something, said what? You know, it's like, get out. You know, not get out like that, but, you know,
So you
hit the showers early, you know?
No, well, okay. So what was your mindset when you hit the showers early? Like, I got some extra time to.
Nah, I was upset because, you know, I'm the senior leader, you know, and believe it or not, I am a leader. Like, I was the leader on the team.
Yeah.
And so I was pretty much setting a bad example, and I shouldn't have did that.
Yeah.
So, you know, it came out, but after that, it's like, I don't know, maybe they needed that. Maybe the team needed a couple guys, you know, the leaders to get kicked out, and then things just turned up from there. Like, we just, every practice was like, you know, just go at each other's neck. It was like hard-nosed.
I have a feeling, you know, which, you know, a lot of the practices aren't open to the public, but the ones that are, I have a feeling that Harper's practices are really intense.
Definitely. Wall to wall, man, like hard competition, especially when you get to competition time, you know. That's when it's really like, you got to be in defensive, you know, positions. You got to help out. Because if you're not there, you know, he's on you. Like,
yeah.
And or one of the other coaches for that.
Yeah.
Whenever Harper took over last year as an interim coach, could y'all see an immediate change in the team? Like as soon as he came in, as soon as January 7th, whenever, you know, Ken McDonald was no longer here and Ray Harper took over.
That day, I don't know if you remember that day, I don't know if it was the day after or not, but he was in they introduced him as the interim coach in the that media room that you do. We were all in there, and you know he got introduced or whatever, and he's like, "All right, guys, this is during the meeting." He's like, "All right, go get ready." Like, so from there, it's like, oh, he ain't playing no games. And so once he took over, it's like, you know, intensity. It's, like I said, we turned it up from there.
Well, he kind of said in the post games down in Hot Springs that somebody asked a question about, will fatigue be a factor for your team tomorrow night? His answer was, well, no, because I mean we practice every day just as hard as we would play a game, so I don't think fatigue is going to be a factor at all. So you kind of tell that, you know, he's got to have you guys prepared, and I would say that y'all are in pretty good shape playing under Ray Harper.
Yeah, and if you're not, you're gonna be on that treadmill, the highest speed, and yeah.
That happened to a few players. Get on the
definitely, and not just like it wasn't punishment. It was just, you know, for the individual, whoever it was, you know, to, you know, so we could be, you know, ready.
Yeah.
And even if you didn't need it, you know, some of us got on there like just to stay, you know, in tip-top shape.
Yeah.
So it was good though. It was good. I still do it now.
Just put the incline all the way up and go as fast as possible.
No, not the incline. I don't know about that one.
Whenever you were being recruited by Western, who recruited you to come here?
Coach
Harper.
Yeah.
As far as a recruiter, you know, where does Harper rank? I guess if you had to put it on a scale of 1 to 10 with some of the other coaches that you talked to that might have been recruiting you, is how good of a recruiter is Ray Harper?
I mean, he's a great recruiter. I mean, you can see that from what he brings in. But for me, he's just more like a genuine dude. I mean, genuine person. And a lot of other guys, they just tell you what you want to hear. Really, that's what the business is. Oh, you gonna do this, you gonna do that. And when you get there, oh, it's sit down right there. You gonna play behind this guy right there. So you don't know who's telling the truth or not. And with him, I felt like, you know, I was gonna get my opportunities, and obviously it didn't pan out like that my junior year. I mean, I was on and off the court, you know, subbing me in and out, whatever. But once he got in, my minutes went like way up.
So was that, you know, you talk about your junior year kind of being subbed in and out. I mean, was that kind of frustrating for you whenever you got
definitely here? Coming from, and where I came from, I was that guy. So it was like used to scoring and, you know, being the top scorer or whatever. I was getting heavily recruited by like a lot of schools, and it was like once that happened, some schools they had made some rule, and so I couldn't go to no SEC. So they made a rule at the SEC with some JUCO rule or whatever. Long story, but so I couldn't go there, which I wanted to go to SEC school.
Mm-hmm.
And then Western came in, and some other mid majors came in, and then it was like once I got here, I'm like, okay, I'm about to, you know, take an AJ role. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was thinking like I'm about to take an AJ Slaughter type role and go in and get like that. So I'm like, yeah, this is what's up. Then I came to visit, and I was killing him on my visit. Like Serge was guarding me, I was just murdering him. That's my man. Shout out to Serge too. That's my guy. Definitely a good player too. But yeah, so you know, I come on my visit, I'm like, yeah, this is good. You know what I mean? So I came in my junior year, then. And you see what happened after that.
Yeah.
You know, you talked a little bit about how like your minutes and stuff changed once Ray took over. You know, a lot of fans wonder, like, you know, some of the different guys that Ray had. You know, like a Cliff or Juan. You know, how things would have been if Ray was the coach then. I mean, is there much you can say?
Man, I was just talking to last week. I was at overtime, matter of fact, watching games. We couldn't watch the game. I think it was his first round or second round or. For Western, we trying to watch a game, but we watching games. I'm sitting down with Darnell Mee. Obviously, you guys know who that is. Mm-hmm. That's like he's like a mentor to me, and you know, shout out to him. 93. Well, we were talking about how that team right there. He was saying this, how that team right there on the hill could have been one of the best teams outside of the Final Four team with Jim. Mm-hmm. McDaniels, so
yeah, they definitely had a lot of talent on that team.
That team, I you know, I'm not trying to throw Coach Mack under the bridge or nothing. You know, I don't look to do none of that type of stuff. But I think that Coach Harp heading that team right there, we winning probably 30 games.
Yeah.
Sure enough, an athletic group of guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's, as when I was sitting watching those games as a fan, you kind of got the impression that, especially with Cliff, that he wasn't, getting to play the style that he wanted to play. And, I mean, that's, you hate to look back on it like now, but, I think,
He said that too.
Yeah, I saw, I guess he made a Facebook post.
Yeah,
I saw that.
that's what I'm talking about.
I don't know. That's, you hate to look back. I don't want to talk bad about Coach Mack either, but, I think, we've seen the way things have improved since Ray took over, so I think we definitely got the right man for the job, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it makes it pretty clear that, he wants, this is kind of his dream job. I mean, he grew up an hour away from here, and, he's got ties to this area, and, playing at KWC and coaching there and everything. So, I mean, he made it pretty clear today, listen to him on the Jim Rome show, he made that pretty clear. He's like, 'cause Jim Rome kind of talked to him, kind of asked a question about, people calling or whatever. He's like, I had a lot of people call me when I was at KWC, and had a lot of schools call me. It's like, I want to stay there. It's like, you can't put a price tag on family. It's like, because he's like, he said yesterday, I have nieces, nephews, and uncles down here. And it's like, you really can't get that anywhere else. If I was coaching somewhere else far away, can't get them to come over and, hang out. So I think we definitely got a good one, and he definitely wants to be here for a long time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't see Ray going anywhere for a while. I mean, if something came calling like a big school, I wouldn't blame him for going somewhere else. But he's the kind of guy that's going to stick around. I think Todd Stewart's kind of the same way. He seems like he might be here for a little while too. So, those two together, they could be a pretty good pair. But you got another good coach that's hoping for a NIT selection tonight. And
Yeah.
Miss Hurd. And
we should find that out in about an hour and a half or so, where we're going to get selected there. So I know the media guys for the women's team, they're talking about how we're probably going to be hosting the game. So hopefully that'll work out. The women had a great season, coming off, the way the last year went. So, we'll find out here in just a little bit, and hopefully we'll get to see them playing Diddle again.
You talk about turnarounds. I mean, that was a huge turnaround, despite us not, going to the tournament for the women's side. I mean, still, you go from, what Miss Hurd did with the roster she had, and just a kind of depleted roster. I mean, it was a pretty spectacular turnaround, in my opinion, for a WKU women's.
Yeah, and they're losing nobody at the end of the season.
Exactly.
And plus, they got what's the girl? I always ask you this. What's her name? The one that sits on the bench that got hurt this year?
Oh, Kendall Noble.
Yeah, she's supposed to be pretty good. And then they got a good recruiting class coming in next year. So it's going to be a fun team if you like women's basketball. If you just like basketball in general, come out and watch Lady
They
Top.
play a fun style. They get after it. They try to force steals and get after on the defensive end, and that's always fun for me to watch. Teams that
Coach ain't
play
no
well.
joke, man. She don't play. I watched her practice one time.
So have you had much interaction with
her?
With her?
Yeah, she's cool. I went down to the office just to say hi to her. She's definitely cool coach, and obviously a great coach too.
She's doing something good if she can, turning the season around like she has this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, hey, if we get to host a game for the women's NIT, everybody needs to come out and support the Lady Tops.
Definitely.
Because, they had a nice run, and, hopefully it'll continue to the NIT, and hopefully they'll go a long way in the tournament. Hopefully bring home an NIT championship.
What did the championship for the women? I know the men playing in Garden, so what did
I don't know where the...
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that. Look on the interweb there, Woody.
I don't think they're in New York. I don't think they're in New York.
They either play in the Garden, man. That's play, man. Played there one time.
Oh yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
prep school.
Prep school. How was that?
I mean, we won by like 30, 20. It was definitely.
But what about the Garden though? I mean, what about? I mean, of course, it's obviously a historic place to play. I mean, what was it like playing there for you? Just stepping on the court.
Like you being on the stage, man, Broadway.
Yeah. Well, a lot of, of course, you played in prep school. You played there in prep school. There are a lot of people there watching.
Yeah, I played with I was on team with Tyreek Evans, so he knows.
Okay.
And we played against South Kent. Matter of fact, I'll never forget. And they had a bunch of dudes. Isaiah Thomas that played for the Kings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We played against that team, so it was like game after us was Derrick Rose. It was.
Oh wow.
It was packed.
So this is like a kind of like an elite event with a lot of teams of talent.
Super 6 or something like that.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. You get to play in the garden. I mean,
girls would get that, man. That would be an awesome experience for them. I hope. I don't know if the women do that, but that would be nice for them.
Yeah.
I need to bring up that the WKU soccer, the lady top soccer team, they're hosting a 7-on-7 tournament on March the 23rd.
This coming Saturday.
Yes, and the donations for that goes to the FOJ Friends of Jacqueline Foundation. You can see that on Twitter at FOJ Foundation. And it's kind of like what the volleyball team did this year, and it's really going to a good cause. So if you can get out there,
yeah, I know like a lot of the volleyball fans, you know, they all know about Hope for Harley and everything. It's basically the same organization, you know, that the soccer team's getting involved with. So you know, soccer's my sport. That's what I grew up playing. So I'll probably get out there and try to take that in a little bit and, you know, definitely support that good cause for sure.
Yeah, the Friends of Jacqueline Foundation, you know, it's for children battling brain tumors. So it's a good cause, and it's good to see Hilltopper teams support stuff like this and to get the word out and raise some money and have fun and play sports at the same time. So if you get a chance this Saturday, get a team together. And I guess that's what they're doing.
No, it's like college teams that are coming in.
Oh,
I know,
okay.
like, I saw the list. I know it's
Okay.
pretty good teams that are coming in and playing like 7-on-7 and stuff. So it'll be fun, you know, if you got, you know, high schoolers or younger daughters or anything that are playing soccer. You know, I coach a girls soccer team in Logan County, so, you know, I've been telling those girls about it. But
yeah.
you know, it'd be something fun to get out. Hopefully the weather will be nice like it was this past weekend, and come out and enjoy the day and enjoy some soccer and support a good cause there.
It was a good weekend for baseball toppers this week, and the lady
Everything on the
toppers
diamond went good this
on the
weekend.
softball diamond. It was, you know, I didn't get to catch any of the games, but
I got to be there for the second game of the baseball doubleheader on Saturday. You know, we swept MTSU on the weekend. Anytime you can beat MTSU is good, but to beat them 3 times in a row, that's always fun.
I also heard that Ryan Hook kind of had a monster weekend.
Incredible. He got the Sun Belt Player of the week today. He was 6 of 8 with 4 home runs on the weekend. And,
He's Sun Belt Player of the Century.
Numbers like that, yeah. I think he's something like 11 for his last 14 now after the past 2 weekends, whatever. But MTSU wasn't too happy. They after the second home run, they threw one like right at his chin or whatever. He tried to charge him out.
Did you see that? Were you there for that?
Yeah, I was there for that one.
Did you try to jump the stage and jump the fence and go in there?
I mean, Huck's not the guy I would mess with, though. He's like 6'4", 230.
Well, you could do like, I know you don't want to mess with him.
I'm talking
about
to MTSU.
Yeah. You and Hook just go after the pitcher.
He was a little scrawny dude. Huck don't need my help on that one.
Western, they'll play Kentucky
tomorrow night
night in Lexington, and then they come back here. Is it Wednesday? Wednesday, yeah. I'm getting confirmed now. It is Wednesday, and that's at the Bowling Green Ballpark. So that's always fun, you know.
Yeah, that's always
usually
fun.
We wax Kentucky pretty good when they come down here and play in Bowling Green.
You got the bad mojo in the Bowling Green Ballpark.
They don't
when
play well
us.
down here, especially in the ballpark. So it's going to be a fun night.
It's probably that depth perception. Hot Rod Stadium.
Maybe they're not used to playing. I don't know what it is, but Western plays pretty good on that field. So
they're starting to get rolling a little bit. You know, that's 2 weekends in a row where they've swept the team they're playing, and you know they're 3-0 in the Sun Belt now to start the season. So hopefully they can keep that rolling and try to get another Sun Belt championship up here on campus. So
yeah,
it'll be a fun night Wednesday for all the college kids and all the fans of Western baseball, and it should be usually when games are there at the ballpark, it's usually a pretty good crowd. Yeah. So it'll be a fun night on Wednesday, and you get to watch two good baseball teams play. And baseball season's here, and it's one of the best times of the year, especially when it's happening in March Madness. So that's 2 good things you can put together right there.
Lots of good and exciting things going around for Western sports, and also just throwing stuff out there. I mean, we got football. We actually have Pro Day. It's actually Wednesday. So see Jack Dole and them out there. They'll be
You're the football expert here. What do you think their chances are of going in the draft? You know, Jack and Quanteris and some of those guys.
I think Quinteris, he'll be pretty high. I think he might be third round-ish. You know, that's what I've seen a lot of people say. You know, I mean, he'd probably get drafted a lot higher if he wasn't injured right now and was competing in drills and things like that. But and I think Dole has a real good chance of getting drafted too. I mean, he's got great hands, excellent route runner, good blocker too. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get drafted probably late in the NFL draft. But yeah, we got Pro Day's Wednesday, and then spring football starts up Friday afternoon. So
when is the spring game?
Spring game is April 20th at 2:00.
Okay,
Houchins LT Smith Stadium.
Right, it'll be
be there, be square.
It'll be fun. Bobby Petrino being out there the first time.
Look at him,
we'll probably have a pretty good crowd out there.
But I think there'll be a lot of hype around the spring game.
Football
probably get a lot more media coverage than normal, probably.
Khalil, what do you think about Bobby Petrino? I know you've been covering it, just being around Western sports.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard stories, but I don't. Taggart, that's my guy right there.
Yeah, it was.
I was pretty cool with Coach Taggart.
It was sad to see Taggart go, just because he is a Western guy. But you know, when that South Florida job popped up, I thought it was a good possibility he might leave.
They hit him with the money, man. They hit him with the paper.
Well, you got that, and he's from that area. He's from that area, so I mean.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
So hey, man, I think he grew up an hour from Tampa. So I mean,
that's nice then.
That was a big.
That's where he played high school football at, right? Manatee.
Manatee.
Yeah, so
I mean,
it's good for him to be back there. I'm glad we got Petrino here on the hill. I think he's going to really, keep advancing what the football program has already accomplished the last 2 years. And it's going to be a good season for sure. I know we've talked about that several times. But
yeah, that's something, we hadn't really brought up yet tonight is the whole conference realignment thing. The way the Sun Belt's shaping up, a lot of the teams that are normally at the top of the conference in a lot of sports are going to be in Conference USA next year,
Mm-hmm.
whether we end up moving or not. We still got one more year left in the Sun Belt, so I think, we're going to have a good opportunity to come out and dominate a lot of different sports next year. We still got...
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I agree with that.
Talking men's basketball, that's what the hot topic is now. But, I mean, you got MTSU and FIU, who were 2 of the 3 semifinalists with us. And then, North Texas is leaving. They're usually pretty good. And who am I missing?
Is FAU, are they leaving this coming?
They're leaving.
All 4
FAU,
are
FAU and MTSU are leaving this
July. In July.
Yeah.
So we're coming back to a conference that's just going to have, South Alabama, who, there's a lot of talk about Rubit might not come back for them because apparently he graduates this spring, so he can do that thing where he transfers and, finishes up without sitting out. So, I mean, if he does that, there's not a reason that we shouldn't come back and just dominate the Sun Belt next year, really.
Yeah.
For sure. I know Lafayette, they've got a good young team.
Yeah.
And Arkansas State's going to be, they're losing 3 seniors, I think.
Brady said they had 2 guys that have been sitting out all year that can come in and start for them. So, if he's right about that, they'll probably still have a good team.
Those 2 teams are going to be pretty good. And, of course, in football, you're left with, the Louisiana teams.
Yeah.
Arkansas State. And then, what about the new football programs coming in? Do you know much about them?
Texas State, Georgia State, and then South Alabama. They're kind of an upstart program. They're going to be in the Sun Belt. They played some Sun Belt games last year, but they're going to be a full-blown Sun Belt conference this year. Don't know a whole lot about them. I know Georgia State struggled a lot last year. Bill Curry resigned, and I'm not sure who took over the position there. Texas State... not the Armadillos on necessary roughness, but the Texas State Bobcats. I think they kind of had a 500 type season last year, and South Alabama had a little bit of struggle, stepping up in competition. So, really, if you look at that, for a Petrino coach team and the talent that Western Kentucky already has on their football squad, it should be a pretty nice conference. Should be getting a conference title next year, I hope, but it should be a pretty easy going. You start off the season with Kentucky and Tennessee, and honestly, if you look at it as far as talent and coaching ability, that could be 2 wins for Western right there. And that would be big for the program.
I think the Kentucky game is, I think Western has the edge on that, just because Kentucky, they're not a great team. They got a really one of their better recruiting classes coming in, but of course those are kids that are just now coming in. So, yeah, I think Western will get the Kentucky game. I'm really excited about the Tennessee game and going to Knoxville.
Closet volunteer fan over there.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game though. Just Western can hang with them next year. But you're right. We got an easy schedule as far as football goes. There's no reason why we can't win 9 games next year, possibly even 10 games, and we should win the Sun Belt next year.
Well, let's, since Middle's leaving the Sun Belt, and, we're still technically in the Sun Belt, Khalil, what's your thoughts on Middle leaving? And that kind of that rivalry, at least temporarily, going away for the time being.
How many championships have they won in the Sun Belt?
I don't know.
How many what?
How many championships?
0.
In basketball,
yeah, I'm not understanding how you go to a better conference and you ain't win nothing. So that kind of confuses me, but whatever.
Well, I think it's mostly about money, though. But
I didn't know. That's why I don't know. I thought is it football too or something?
Yeah. All the sports are going over there.
Well.
But football kind of rules the roost when it comes to generating money and everything like that. So, but to lose a rivalry in basketball like that, I mean, at least temporarily, you know. I mean, I think that's going to kind of disappoint a lot of Western fans because we like that Middle Tennessee rivalry, and it's going to be kind of taken away from us, at least temporarily.
Yeah, I think Western and MTSU rivalry will be put on hold for a year, and then I think Western's going to probably join them in the Conference USA next year.
All right, we're getting close. We got like 4 minutes left, so let's talk about you. What are you up to right now, Khalil?
Just working out, you know, staying in shape, you know, about to head across the waters, man, just play professionally.
Okay. You got a team lined up that you're going to play for?
No, I have, you know, stuff in the works right now, and, you know, talking to, you know, different people, so I'm definitely gonna let you guys know though once I officially sign.
Definitely, kind of curious how that process works. You know, like playing overseas. You know, I know a lot of former players here at Western play over there, and I mean, you know, I'm just curious how the season starts. You know, like you said, you're going over there and you're kind of negotiating right now. I mean, from
you know, knowing people and you know and just talking, networking with different people, it's like it's kind of similar. You know, you gotta. Training, you know, you train, so it's like preseason, whatever workouts, and then you go into it from there. So it's like,
okay, sounds good.
Yeah, it's I know. I wish you the best. I think all of Hilltopper Nation does too. When you were here, you were just an exciting player to watch. I think that most of the fans were just as excited as you were when you hit a big three-pointer. I know last year in the tournament, whenever you crushed some big threes, and me and Woody be over there like throw my 3 goggles up and get all excited. Even Todd Stewart was over there, man. Todd be pounding his chest.
Was Todd throwing up 3 goggles too?
So I mean, we all wish you the best of luck, and there's no doubt that you have the talent and the ability to go play somewhere. Just a great player, a great shooter. And I wish you the very best. And, man, I don't doubt that you won't be playing somewhere really soon.
Appreciate it, and appreciate you guys having me as well.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on our show. I mean, we still got a little bit of time left. I mean, talk about your senior night experience last year. I mean, you're pretty much the lone senior on the team. We got like 2 minutes left, so if you want to shed some light on that, I mean, how special is that? You know, getting a standing ovation from the whole Diddle Arena.
I mean, first of all, like you said, it was rivalry, you know, and then beating them, it was like, it's just, I don't think you can end it a better way than scoring the last bucket. It was like, everything was just like,
last layup, that's probably one of the cooler moments.
I should have dunked it, but, you know, I don't want to talk about that. Still kind of mad about that every time I watch it.
You kind of crossed your mind to dunk
I should have dunked. I had missed a dunk in the first half, so I was like, dang, should I dunk this one or not?
You kind of second guessing yourself?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was definitely a really cool moment when you
to me, that's kind of the moment where, you know, like, all right, we had the past couple of years, you know, let's put those behind them. We'll move forward here. That, you know, that kind of clinching layup kind of. I think that's when a lot of fans are like, all right, we're back. You know, let's go down here and start winning championships.
Sold out, man. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. And of course, then, you know, that happened, and, you know, he had the Ray Harper speech right afterwards, which, you know, pumped everybody up. Ray out there in his red jacket. I mean, what do you think about the red jacket? Is that a pretty cool fashion statement for a rivalry?
He should have gave all of us red jackets. I might steal his in a couple days, man. I'm thinking about it.
I don't know if he's got your size. He might.
He was on eBay or something.
All right, we got less than a minute left. So you guys got anything? Shout outs or anything?
Well, you know, shout out to Ray Harper and the Tops. I guess they're probably leaving tomorrow.
Yep.
Head to Kansas City Friday night. 8:50. I think it's on TNT, so you won't have to try to find True TV or whatever channel they throw some of those games on there. So good luck to the Tops, and thanks everybody for tuning in. And that's my shout-outs. Shout out to Khalil for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it, man.
Go Tops.
Very special guest, so we appreciate having you on, and it was fun, man. An hour went by pretty fast. I didn't think we'd be able to pull this off.
Time for B-dubs, I think.
Yeah, we only got about 5 seconds left, so...
We'll see y'all next week.
Go Tops.
See y'all next week, Dad. Go Tops.
Coming up on Austin City Limits.